Today you'll see 3 new knit tops, and each of these have been made out of the same pattern, of course, but I used 3 different sizes just for different looks, different lengths. It's a really fun make with a twist on the front. Hi sewing friends, my name's Karina from liftingpinsandneedles.com. Welcome to this channel that is all about sewing, limitless sewing, and I have some fun knit sewing to share with you today. What I've made is the Lotus top from Love Notions. This is one of the very older patterns, and it's been through a process of redrafting, update. Now it has the full size range that all the other patterns have, from extra small to 5X. And now there's a regular and a full bust option, which there wasn't before. The design, the look remains. I think the current style has a little less ease than the one that it had before, but the twist on the front is still there, that V neckline, that dolman sleeve. It's pretty easy to put together once you get your head around the twist, and I think it's a really fun pattern. I've made one before in 2019. That one doesn't fit me anymore. Back then I made a size M and it was pretty fitted. Because the Lotus top has been re-released, it's not only Feature Friday, it's going to be $5 for the whole weekend, which is really great. That's over 60% off the original price. Never forget to use my code PINS10 at checkout, because that gives you an extra 10% off on top of the sale price. Find my affiliate link down below, and the video I already made about this version in the description box as well. I always try to give you really helpful content, and I'm super grateful when you use my affiliate link, because it does really support the work that I do here on YouTube. Then I made this one. This one I made in 2021. The front piece is a pretty large piece, and if you have a knit fabric that looks pretty much the same on both sides, or is pretty much indistinguishable to your eyes at least, then you can just cut out that full piece and do the twist, and it's very easy. If you want to use a knit fabric that has a wrong side that is very different, then there is another way to do it, and it involves a seam in the middle. So I have filmed this in detail already, how to do the twist and the construction, when I made this lovely top. This is the one that I made using the alternate method, because I have white inside. When I showed it to you last time, I just styled it over a denim skirt. Pretty basic styling, pretty casual actually, like I would leave the house, because I'm usually in a skirt. And I've got a different look to share with you today, just so you can see it with some linen pants. So let's see it, and then I'll show you the 3 new ones. This is the Lotus top I made 2 years ago. This is an athletic knit, and this one, there's a seam at the bottom. The reason for that is that this fabric is white on the wrong side, so it does need an extra step, but it's still super easy to sew. I love the blue tones of this top, and I've paired it with my navy Allegro pants in rayon linen blend, and I love it. I've worn this one a lot since I've made it 2 years ago. I mentioned that I was going to use the same pattern, but I was going to use different sizes and different lengths. So as I show you the 3 I made, they're going to go from the highest size and the longest length towards the smallest size and the shortest length. I made a 2X that's longer, I made an extra large, that's my size, it's a little bit shorter, and then a size large which is even shorter. So that is the order that you see them. My proper size, if I base myself on my measurements and my high bust, my full bust and all of that, is an extra large at this moment. For this first version I want to share, I sized up to a 2XL. I wanted a really oversized, loose and long top to work out in. I plan to use workout fabric. I have navy leggings. Look, when I want to work out, I want to be wearing something loose where the air is going to fly in. I want to use a wicking fabric. I want to be comfortable. The first reason I chose it was because it was one of the few I had in my collection that looked the same on both sides, where you couldn't tell. So I thought, perfect, let's simplify my life here. I lengthened it by 3 inches. When you lengthen or shorten, the back is pretty standard, because the back is just cut on the fold. You have a line where you overlap or you spread your pattern. But for the front, because it's a long piece and the front is sort of double, to do it on the top and on the bottom by the same amount, pretty easy. I just spread out my pattern and just drew those lines so that it made sense, and I ended up with a longer top that will cover my bottom 100%. My regular life, I wouldn't wear an outfit like you'll see it later, where it's covering my bottom and it's so oversized, but I do want to look like this when I'm working out. So that was my whole main purpose here. And I'm going to show you some fun hacks, little additions I made. The Lotus has a little yoke piece at the back that you can add on. It's part of the pattern, part of an option. You can put a lace inset there or use another color fabric. I decided to pin tuck the fabric there, And when I was pin tucking, I had little bits left over. I decided to add a neckband, which is something I always add. This pattern doesn't have a neckband, you just fold it in, which makes it easier, but I like having a neckband. And I also had enough to add these armbands there, all with the little pin tucks. I've just drawn lines 1 inch apart all the way down this fabric. You take the piece that you want to do this detail to, calculate you're going to need a little more than double the width because each pin tuck is going to be sewn at 1/2 inch. So whatever width you're doing here on these lines is going to end up being half of it. Then all I do is head over to the sewing machine. I use my 1/4 inch presser foot and I fold the fabric along each of these lines. And then the 1/4 inch presser foot helps because then I'm sewing exactly at a 1/4 inch seam allowance. And I'm doing this again and again and again and again until I have all this area with these little pleats. Having all of this is what I'm going to use to cut out the shape that I want. This is the back of the Lotus top. So there is a pattern piece that already has a deeper back so that you can add this contrast piece right here. What I've done with my contrast piece that you're meant to cut on the fold, I've just extended it to create a full piece because that's just going to make it easier for me to cut it out of the pre-pleated fabric. And here is my fabric. You see a certain width here. This was actually double the width here with all the lines. I have a lot of lines here. It took quite a while, but I think it's a little fun detail that you can add if you have a little bit left over. Now I'm going to be pressing the pleats to one side and then to the other side around the middle. And then I'm going to come back with my pattern piece and then use my rotary cutter to cut around everything. I have enough pre-pleated fabric left over to cut out sleeve bands. This is just an option in the pattern. You can just hem it normally. And I think these are going to look cool and sort of tying together with a detail on the back. Same as I did with the back contrast piece, I just extended it so I don't have to put it on the fold. It would be really hard to fold this type of fabric that's already been worked with and get an accurate result. So I think extending it is always nicer. Noticing I still had a bit of this pre-pleated fabric and I want to use all of it because it was a lot of work to do all this. I decided I'm going to do a type of neckband while keeping these pleats. I think it's going to look super interesting. I've cut out 2 of these. I know it's going to be enough. I don't want to do the traditional V neckband because then you would have to do that type of seam including this. So the way I'm going to do it is going to be easier. It's still going to look like a V-neck band, but it's going to be a fake one. This is 2 inches here and I want the pleats to go down the body. So I think it's going to look super interesting. So what I'm showing you is going to work for whatever contrast you're doing on the back. If you choose this, whether it's lace or a different color, whatever, it's still the same technique. It's just that my fabric has been worked on before. So I just pinned the center fronts right there. In this case, this is the area where I press the pleats to one side. So that is the middle. I pin the center, then I pin the side over here and then pinned in between, and I did the same over here. I think it's going to look really cool. I made sure that every pleat was pressed in the way it's supposed to go. Now I'm just going to sew this, and I think I'm going to have more success at the sewing machine because I can see and control the pleats much better than at the serger. So I'm going to sew this with 3/8 seam allowance, just being careful. I think for this fabric the pins are okay, it's not too slippery. If the fabric was more slippery I would probably hand baste this. Of course, I used a narrow zigzag for this. You know, this does stretch. Look at this. It's really stretchy. If you have fabric that looks the same on both sides, then you can just do a full front piece like this and just lay it extended here. It doesn't really matter which is the right or the wrong side because it will look the same or very, very similar. Now over here is a shoulder, is a neckline, and then a straight seam. And this is the same but mirrored, but over here. So here is a shoulder, here is a neckline, and here is a straight edge. I've already serged these straight edges because those are going to be sewn together, and I'm going to press that open so it's easier to finish that seam now. And you're going to find a little mark over there and a little mark over here. In order to do the twist and make this easier, I suggest you lay your pattern piece exactly like this. You have a neckline here, you have a neckline here. These are the curves of the dolman sleeves right here. And the line that you're supposed to have over there, mark it on the side that's underneath. So not on the side that you're looking up. And on this one here, mark it on the side side facing up at you. So I want you to see that this is the one that's closer to the top of my table, and I have my white mark touching my cutting mat right here. I have a pin there so you can see that what I'm talking about. I don't have it marked right here facing up. And on the side closer to the table is where I have the other line, and this one's facing up. So keeping the pattern piece like this, I'm going to take my right hand here and hold this white line. I'm going to take my left hand, hold the top of that neckline and just twist and bring it up to here. Then I can tidy everything up and everything makes sense. This is a seam that will be sewn and it will be a center seam. For now, if you're gonna do the original method of the pattern, just so that it's easy and you don't get confused later, I like doing the twist first. And what I would do with this seam is just give it a quick hand baste or just a quick baste with a machine to keep it together. Because if you're gonna do the original neckline, that is just folding it in, then you have to sew the shoulder seams first, then the neckline, and then you can finish sewing your center front seam. But I think doing the twist first is just easier. I'm going to be adding on a neckband, so I'm going to be sewing this now, but I'm not going to sew all the way to the top. This is a center front seam. I have already done the twist. Pin marks where I'm going to sew up to, and I'm supposed to sew from the top all the way down to there. But I'm not going to do that because I'm going to be adding a band on the top, a neckband. So I want to leave myself some space. I'm going to leave a good 2 inches unstitched, and I'm going to start sewing from here to there. And then I will come back and finish sewing this once the neckband is on. Now that that's done, I can bring my back, place it here right sides up, and then take my front and put them right sides together. I need to sew the shoulder seam so then I can sew on the neckband. I had to add a center back seam to my neckband, so that's where that is right here. I'm pressing the pleats this way and then pressing the pleats that way. When this is worn on the body, the pleats are going to go down the chest, so I'm just giving these a press. After doing that, I'm going to press my neckband in half lengthwise. This is my neckline, this is the back, and it's on the fold. That is the front. Remember, I haven't sewn that center front seam all the way to the top, so it's open up here. I've just pinned there and have it flat so I can measure this and see how long I have to make my neckband. I'm going to measure from the very edge here to the fold there, and I'm going to measure about 3/8 of an inch away from the edge because that's where I'm going to be sewing on the neckband. So if I measure like this, I get 15 inches. I want to do 90% of that. So this is just half of the neckline, right? Because it's folded. So 15 times 2 is 30 inches, and I want to do 90% of that, 27 inches. So that is exactly the length that I want for my neckband. I cut this band the longest it would give me with the fabric I had, but I know this is way longer than what I need. Trim the excess that I don't need. Here is my neckband. That seam that I have there is my reference for the center back. Here's the neckline. This is one of the fronts. That is the center back, and I also want to divide this in 4 so that it's easier for me to sew on the neckband nice and neatly. So I have a pin at the center back of the neckline, a pin here coming down the front neckline, and another one here. Okay, so that's divided in 4 as well. Now here in the center, I do want to let this protrude a little bit. So we know we're going to sew this with 3/8, but then we're going to sew it again in the center with 3/8. So you do need a little bit of the band there. And you can see that the neckband is shorter than the neckline. It's supposed to be like that so that it brings it closer to the chest. So you stretch the neckband as you sew. Now, because I have all these little pleats, I don't want to leave anything to chance. I'm going to stretch this and hand baste it while it's stretched out like this. And I'm going to do that from here to the other side to make sure this doesn't move and the pleats don't go in the other way. Here is the neckband, just hand basted onto the neckline, right sides together. Remember, from the shoulders down, I wanted my little pleats going down like this. So that's how I've hand basted them. I'm using my seam ripper to keep my pleats flat as they go under the presser foot. I've added myself the challenge of having this neckband with the pleats just because I think it's going to be super stunning. You don't have to do that. You can just sew on a regular neckband like this, and then you would just have a simple piece of fabric on the fold lengthwise. And then this step could be done directly on the serger. It could be super easy. It's just that I decided to create this little complexity for myself because I know it's going to look really cool. This is the middle point, and now I can just sew and not worry about those pleats going anywhere. Now that the neckband is sewn, we just have to sew the front, and you can see the seam is up to there. The rest was unsewn, and so from there I just drew a line with my chalk. I'm going to meet this little fold, make sure these are both at the same level. I've put a pin right across matching the seams. I'm not going to take the pin out as I sew, and I'm going to put another little pin right there, and now I'm just going to sew like this, and that will finish off this fake V neckband. When I start sewing, I'm not going to back tuck. I'm just going to leave thread and knot that by hand. And when I go over the pin, I'm just going to hand wheel. I'm going to do a little knot here on the top instead of that back tacking. I think it'll look more delicate. Okay, this is how my neckband is going to look in the center after sewing that seam. You can trim that away if you want to, but I'm just going to leave it, and I'm going to tack this little bit here and this little bit down on the seam allowance by hand. That will just help keep it open. Then I'm going to have this sleeve circumference, which is also going to have these vertical features. What I'm going to do with this is sew the short ends, press it open, and then press it lengthwise again, so I have a round thing that I can sew onto these right sides together. It'll be super easy. This is just a band that's going to extend the length of the sleeve. You might think, why so much work for a workout top? Just because I wanted to, because I thought it would be fun. And it's a little detail to add to a simple workout top that I had a lot of fun with. Maybe you can get an idea and apply this to another garment, another pattern, another fabric. So this is my navy workout top. You can see the little pin tuck details right there. I did use a different method to put on the neckband this time. I didn't do the typical neckband seam right there. You saw that the way I did this neckband was simplified because I sewed it on and then sewed that center seam. I think it made it easier with this little detail that I have right there. I was able to match those little pin tucks there. They're all going down like this. I think it looks really cool. To be honest, I'm so happy to have a top like this because it's one of a kind. And here are my armbands, have the same detail, and the little detail on the back here. Otherwise, it's the same top. It's got the twist. It's extra long, it's extra wide, just like I wanted it to be because it's for working out. I'm gonna get sweaty over my leggings. I just want to be fully covered and have a lot of breathing space and a lot of room to move around. You might think, oh, she doesn't look that great. The type of workout top I actually wear. I want to be oversized, I want to be loose. I'm not trying to make any impressions at the gym. Quite the opposite. This is how a top would look if you sized up and lengthened it. This is the first Lotus top that I made. This is sizing up one size to a 2XL, and I also added 3 inches of length to the original length. I wanted this look. I wanted it oversized. I wanted it super wide. I wanted it super long because this is a workout top and it's an athletic knit. It's blue. It's the same on both sides, so I did the simple twist. I'm not going to be wearing this top for anything other than working out. I like the extra room. I want air going through the sleeves, through the bottom, and I want it to fully cover my bottom over my leggings. This is how I feel the most comfortable, and I've added a lot of details to this one, like the neckband that I added on and the armbands. I did the same with the yoke with all the little micro pleats or pin tucks. Lots of fun. It was a lot of work, but I think it's really cool, and I like to look nice when I go to the gym, and I think this is a really nice top that's so different to any other top I have. And this one is sort of simple, but it has a little bit extra. I love that. Here's another way I would wear my extra long, extra roomy Lotus top. And I've got some denim look jeggings. I've also got sneakers here and a crossbody bag. This is also very casual. It wouldn't be to go to the gym, but I would go for a very long walk outside for exercise. I'd be super comfortable. And this is just another way that doesn't involve leggings, but is also for working out. When you saw me putting the blue one together, I showed you the twist with my red version. You saw how easy it is to make the twist. If you have fabric that's the same on both sides, it's so easy. If you copy just how I did it and where I marked the little reference points, you have no drama. So that red top that you were seeing there was actually this. I made this one in my actual size. This is the size extra large, and this one is 1.5 inches longer than the original pattern. For this one, I just found a little piece of fabric in my stash, and I decided to add this yoke that goes all across. This is not part of the pattern. I just cut it out myself and added seam allowance there. It's very easy. I made sure to cut the houndstooth really straight and to sew it really straight so that it's level. Here I also added a neckband in the same simplified way as I did with the other one, where you sew the neckband and then you sew that center seam. There is a little bit of a seam allowance there that I hand sewed on there by hand to keep it flat. It's really easy. I just wanted to show you a really easy way to do it if you want to. You can do it the traditional way as well, but this was just so easy. The armbands are with the same little houndstooth. Look, at this point, I'm only doing color blocking for workout tops or really informal things. And this is also a workout top. You'll see it styled with leggings and just jeggings, just really casual. These are workout materials. I don't want to try to dress this up because you can really tell this is fabric to work out in. It's really thin. I wouldn't feel really dressed up in a skirt or heels. Like, I wouldn't try to dress this up. This is a workout top. This is my size extra large, just a little bit longer to compensate for my height. So let's see this one. This is my second Lotus top. This is the actual size I should sew according to my measurements. It's an extra large. This one's 1.5 inches longer than the original length, and it's the same athletic knit you saw with the blue, only this one's red. I've added a few details here that you'll see up close up. I like this length. This is still roomy. There's still some ease, but not so oversized as the other one, and it's still a workout top. I'm still wearing leggings. I really like the contrast houndstooth athletic knit scrap that I found, and have the same fabric for the neckband and armbands. And I cut my own back piece there, just some simple color blocking, add seam allowance and add those pieces. I really like this red top. I think it's only a workout top because you can really tell this is workout fabric. I wouldn't want to dress this up. I really love it. I think it's a really awesome workout top. This is the same Lotus workout top. Similar type of jeggings as you saw before. Straight leg, they're not super tight, but they're super comfy. I also have black sneakers here and just a little bag. This is athleisure. I'd go on a very long walk in this little outfit and feel really good. I think I'm gonna keep these two versions of the Lotus really casual, and I'm very happy with that. And the next one is a little stripy number. If you've seen my previous video on the channel, it was all about the best, the worst, and the maybe styles for sewing stripes. And I had it in my mind to sew a Lotus with stripes. It took a little while as well to place on the fabric and figure out what I wanted. I used a rib knit where you can't really tell which is the right or the wrong side as well. So that made it easier. I wanted this one closer fitting and shorter. So this time I made a size large, which means I sized one size down from my regular size. And I made it 1.5 inches shorter than the original length. So this is my smallest and my shortest, a size L, which is one size down from my regular size. This will just give me a closer fit, and it's 1.5 inches shorter than the original length. I cut my large front piece with stripes going down vertical, and the only way I could get my back piece was if I cut them horizontal, and I don't mind. And this is how this one looks. I love it. I also added a neckband, and I kept the stripes going like this for the neckband. This is a traditional neckband. It's not done the shortcut way like I did the other ones, and I really love the look here. On the center you'll get these chevron type effect right there, because this center seam is not cut straight. It's sort of, the way it's placed on the fabric, you'll notice it's a little bit slanted like that, so you get this look. And it's the only way I would have been happy to use stripes with a Lotus. I wouldn't have wanted this going like this. You could have matched the stripes, but I think it would have just looked strange. So no thank you, I'm not a fan of horizontal stripes. But I think on the back it's fine. This rib knit, I do like the width and the space of these stripes. They're quite narrow, they're quite thin, so I'm quite happy. And I cut out my armbands with vertical stripes like this. At the back, I do have it sewn with a twin needle, but I managed to get my twin needle stitch right in a black stripe, so it looks like it's not even been hemmed, but it has, and I love that. It's like the hem isn't there, but it is. And this was such a fun make. I really love it. I will leave you always a bunch of helpful videos down below that will help you put things together, like how to add on a neckband like this. You see this one styled two ways, one with wide leg pants and another with a maxi skirt. I know I'm really going to enjoy this one. And for a more dressed up style and going out top, I would prefer sizing down and making it shorter like this. This Lotus top is one size smaller than I should make it, so sizing down one size. This is a size large and it's 1.5 inches shorter than the original, so they keep getting shorter and smaller, and I like the closer fit for a style that I would wear over a skirt like the Lennox skirt I've got here. I've made my stripes vertical on the front. You can see there's a bit of a chevron going on in the center front seam. I love it. I really like this length and this look for a more dressed up version of the Lotus. I love this rib knit, it's so soft, and I had a lot of fun matching up the stripes and just creating the look. I think it's really cool. I've got an extra neckband added on here. I also added my armbands, and this is my version of a stripy top. I don't have many of them, and I'm glad I have one now, especially in black and white, because it's going to go over any colorful bottom that I might have. And I love how it looks with my long Lennox skirt. Is my stripy Lotus top with wide leg pants. I think this looks really good. Whenever I wear something wide like the maxi skirt you saw before and these wide leg pants, I would like to have a closer fitting top. That's why I sized down for this one. It's a rib knit, so it has a lot of stretch and it looks good, and the shorter length is also appropriate for wider type of bottoms. I love it. I love this classic black and white. It's so good. I'm gonna really enjoy this top, and when I was cutting it out, I could just imagine how the twist would affect the look of the stripe, and I think it's really cool. I'm very happy with this make. I would want to size down if I want a top that I want to dress up, for sure. I would leave a fit with more ease for more casual working out tops. Three sizes, 3 different looks, same pattern, love it. I'd love to make one in a sweater knit like this and just add another extension here for a long sleeve. That would be cool as well. And I would also size down like this one. Super happy with my tops, from the longest to the shortest, from the biggest to the smallest. I also have this one. This is the 4th one. It's a really fun pattern. It's not hard to make, and I think it's really cute. Don't forget that the Lotus top is $5 for the whole weekend through Sunday. So it's not just a feature Friday. It's for the whole weekend. It's because it's a new release. Go ahead and catch up on my stripe video, best and worst styles. You get a lot of ideas. It's always really fun to work with stripes. That's all from me today. Have an amazing weekend, and I'll see you again very soon with more sewing. Bye!